Fans of the Horus, Heresy and Warhammer 40,000, thank you very much for joining me for a how-to build video, and today we're going to be having a go at assembling the new, easy to build Space Marine Primaris Reivers. So I picked these up at the weekend and, well, here we have 3 piles of components, 1 empty sprue and an instruction booklet. Now, of course, this being me, I'm not just going to fit these together. We're going to glue these together. I'm also going to mess around with the posers to try and make them look a little bit better, because I'm of the opinion that these guys are weird. They've got a slightly strange look to their bodies, and it's a bit inexplicable to me because the other set of Marines that was released at the same time, which were a new set of 3 Primaris intercessors, look really good, and they're in exactly the same easy build format. However, the poses on those guys are great. However, these Reivers are a little bit underwhelming, and so yeah, I'm going to have a go at trying to make them look a bit better, and you know, perhaps you guys and girls might get some ideas from this as well. So that's the plan. It might not take long, we'll see what happens. So just to put you in the frame of what I've already done, all the parts are off the sprue. That's only like a couple of minutes job. I've cleaned all the parts up, so all the mold lines removed. That took a few hours to do. You may or you may not want to take the mold lines off, depending on how you want your models to look. I've done it because I don't do assembling models any other way. So bear that in mind when I'm building these, because I spent a few hours working on these models, prepping the parts. Let's have a quick run through a few tools that we may require. I'm hoping a lot of these I won't need. So we've got we've got a sharp scalpel, we've got a blunt scalpel for cleaning up and smoothing plastic. We've got a needle file, 1 flat side, tapers to a point, curved upper. I've got a polishing and finishing stick. So that's got a polished side, a rough and a fine sandpaper. And then we've also got dusty brush for cleaning parts up. In addition to those, I've also got some polystyrene cement, one of these handy applicators with a very thin needle tube. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. As is always the case, I'll have a few chat topics that we can go through as we progress. So let's get into this. We will start with this guy, which is the Squad Sergeant. I'm going to drop the camera down a little bit to give us a bit more of a focus on what we're looking at. Right, so we've got a torso with legs, shall we say, then a back, 2 arms, one of which has got a heavy bolt pistol and the other of which has got his combat blade, which for some reason in the rules works as well as a chainsword. Figure that one out. And then we've got a backpack, and of course this guy is called Brother Joe because he looks just like Immortan Joe from Mad Max Fury Road, so that's his name. It always shall be his name. Right, so the first thing is sticking the torso together. There's no way in the scope of this modelling exercise of doing anything with the pose of the legs or anything. If you're extremely dedicated, there are probably options that you could devise to do that, but I don't think it's worth it on these models. And so I just put some glue in. So let me show you, just put some glue into those two and I'm going to push it together. Also, I'm going to run glue around here because I don't want this to come apart. I'm just going to treat it like a normal miniature in terms of assembly. Now, I know these fit together just fine as push-fit kits. Well, I'm assuming they do. So this is going to be a bit of a test of that as well. Bear in mind, when I'm fitting my parts together, by putting polystyrene cement on the posts, which are push-fit posts, it's melting them slightly, so it's easing the fit. If you're doing a dry fit, as these are designed to do, you might find it a bit harder to assemble them because you don't have that melting effect and lubricative effect of the polystyrene cement softening the surface of the plastic. So there we go. Right, you say, oh no, you've not put his head in. Correct, I haven't. And that's because the first thing we're doing with this head is we are taking off the post. Oh, last tool, forgot to mention, a pair of plastic snippers. So in my view, there's no point using this little post, just snip it off like that. And now we've got a multi-pose head that we can put in any attitude we want. I'll perhaps orientation, as we're not dealing with aircraft here. Let's call it orientation. So that's that. So we can now have him looking wherever we want him to look. Now, these arms are a bit annoying from a point of view of versatility, because you can see how they've got these upward facing posts. And that kind of like makes them unipose. They're designed to be super simple to assemble. So this guy looks something like, is it that? I have no idea where that's supposed to go. Is it going like that? Something like that. Let's have a look at the instructions. Oh God, it does go like that. That is a weird pose. I'm not really keen on that. So, well, I can't be bothered cutting the blade off and giving it a forehand orientation, which would look a lot better. Yeah, let's be honest, it looks a bit duff in this kind of backhanded orientation. Technical term. I think it's supposed to go like that. So how can I make this guy look any better? If we bring his pistol arm down, so it's a bit more like so, I think he might be a bit neater looking. Right, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip this post shorter, and that should do the trick. Because we're gluing this, all we need is a bit of post. And it'll still, you know, you'll still get a purchase with the part. There you go. So we can now, by doing that little snip off, because we're gluing it, we've still got plenty of attachment. We've got a nice, clear place to fix it, and it's going to be good. Right, before we do that, because there's absolutely no variety in the post possible, we're going to stick the base on, just to make the next bit a bit easier to do. The one thing I love about plastic cement is just how good value a tube of it is. I bought this donkeys ago. I think I actually bought this when I started doing Heresy again, which is about 4-5 years ago, and I've still got loads left. It goes to show how long these things can last if you use your glue sparingly and carefully. There you go. I mean, the blue plastic on these guys, I mean, it's just like any other plastic that you used to with Games Workshop miniatures, just like the previous grey coloured plastic that has been the norm in terms of its material qualities. It cleans up just the same way. You know, I suppose that's fine. The blue colour is obviously a bit Ultramarines fanboy. Well, it's not a bit, it's completely Ultramarines fanboy. And you read a load of the material on the Warhammer community website, and it's all a bit Ultramarine focused at the moment. So I don't know if Matt Ward's been let out of his cage again. Right, I'm also going to cut, I don't quite like how it's sticking out, so I want it to be a bit more like that. So I want it to be a bit lower. So to do that, I'm going to cut away a bit of this arm, this kind of this articulation bit, which by the time it's stuck on, you won't really notice it's not there. No, the model's going to be lacking a little bit of detail compared to what it did have. I guess my idea with doing this video is to just see how these, you know, what these monopose and easy build miniatures can be made to look a bit better for a more interested and slightly serious collector, shall we say. There we go. I'm going to put it down like that. So I'll put some glue on. Right. Now, we'll see how much, I don't know how much chats we're going to get done because I've got quite a bit of commentary on this video. What I was going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the flurry of release information around Forge World miniatures that's been cropping up on the Warhammer community website. Now basically, so the backdrop to this is at Warhammer Fest earlier this year, so late May, a whole load of Heresy stuff was previewed by Forge World, and there's some real goodies in there for fans of the period. Firstly, there's a whole series of tanks which are quite exciting, I think. There's a whole group that are based on the Saran chassis, and there's 3 of these, 2 of which we've got some decent details of, the 3rd of which is still a little bit vague on the details. The first two, which we know about, is the Saran Punisher assault tank, which is on pre-order at the moment. It's going to be released this Friday, so I'm filming this on So today is the 18th of July. It's going to be released on the 21st of July, on the Friday, which Forge will release on. Look, that's a really good futuristic looking tank, and I really like the look of it. It's got a rotary cannon, a bit like the Primaris Punisher, but the weapon is of a higher specification, as you would expect from the Astartes, to the Guard variant. So that, I think, looks great. I like that. I think I'm going to acquire one. I'm going to get his head in position with some glue on it, which I can then reposition as it starts to set, just to get it in the right spot. So that's the first one that's due out. The second Saran variant is called the Arcus Strike Tank. Now the Arcus Strike Tank seems to be a bit like the Rhino Whirlwind Scorpius. So it's got like an indirect missile battery system mounted on it. It's got, you know, it's very much mirrors the design cues of that other vehicle. Is this guy going to look any good? It'll look better if he's looking that way, possibly. I mean, I don't get it. The poses on these legs on these guys are just weird. I just don't like what they've done with the legs. And that's why I'm trying my very best with this video to try improve the pose on these guys, because I think the stock pose is just duff. There's not much, I suppose there's not a lot you can do with these guys. But, you know, we're going to try our best. So, now it looks like he's kind of moving forward and getting ready to attack. Blade at his side. Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, I'll go with that. And we'll stick some glue on this backpack as well. The next one is the Arcus Strike Tank. So that's going to be probably some sort of indirect unit. Interesting to see how that works, because you don't associate, or I certainly don't associate, and stats wise, the Saran tanks are nothing to do with fire support, really. They're all to do with... Whoa, that doesn't fit very well. That's a very poor fit on this backpack. I'm having to push it right in to get it to melt into position. Look at that. See the size of a gap on that? I'm going to have to take that off and clean it up. That's disappointing, to say the least. Yeah, the post is probably about 1 millimeter too long on that. So let's cut that down and make it the right size. If you're going to do push fit kits, make sure they all fit together properly. I wasn't expecting that. There, that's better now. You see that? Proper fit. This model's all gone a bit floppy and mobile. So let's get this power pack lined up. Of course, when you're working with polystyrene cements, everything takes a little bit of time to re-polymerize and set. But once they're set, the joins are very strong compared to superglue. I mean, superglue joins are strong, but they're brittle. The bonds on these obviously are much more effective. Now, where do I want this pistol? Do I want it down or up? I think I want it like that. It just doesn't look like he's aiming or shooting. He looks more, yeah, as I say, he could be advancing or just taking in the battle a bit. So yeah, 2 Sakarans that have been, well, one that's going to be released at the end of this week, and a second which is probably a few weeks away. The third of these new Sicarans, one mounting the pair of plasma cannons in the turret, or whatever they may turn out to be, so weapons we've not seen before. I remember the name of that. I'm not even sure they told us at Warhammer Fest. That's not been shown off yet on the website. Okay, I think that's probably about as good as I'm going to get that. I don't like the legs on this guy at all, how they've been designed. Just such an unnatural pose. The ankles are all wrong. Yeah, weird. Anyway, I think that's a bit better, maybe, than the actual stock pose. So let's go on to the second Marine. So, first off, let's test the fit of this backpack to see if it's got the same issue as the other one. No, that fits properly. Okay, maybe that was just a Sergeant model then. There's more on the Forge World community website. The next vehicle, which was posted up yesterday, is a very exciting vehicle, which is again for the Horus Heresy, and it's the Sisters of Silence Charon Pattern Acquisitor. So this is a rather groovy looking tank. And it's kind of like the Sisters of Silence dedicated transport come general purpose combat vehicle. It looks great. It's got a very different look. Ooh, look at that there, you see. Watch out for these. You see on this mounting point there's a bit of flash. Do watch out for that, because those bits of flash will obstruct the fit. Off with my finger now. This plastic's not too hard, so it's alright. So that also got previewed today on the website. That's a really cool looking vehicle, something completely distinct and unlike anything we've had before. So I'm really pleased that appears to be not far off from release now. So that'll be a good one. I'll definitely have myself one of those for my little Talons detachment. We'll do the same thing again. We're going to snip the post off on the head so we can reposition the head exactly as we want it. Oh, one thing to go back to on the Sicaran tanks. It will be interesting to see what they're like as models, because will they redesign the Sicaran kit to make it all fit together? That's going to be the interesting thing. The Sicaran tank, I mean, it wasn't a bad kit. Depending, you know, yeah, I mean, there were some issues with it. I mean, the attachment points on the track units where the keys attached were an absolute mess to trim up and clean off. So I wonder if they've improved those compared to the original kits, or will they just take the simple approach and basically reproduce a chassis and just stick a new turret on? I don't know yet, we'll see. Now, I did have a look at the shop model down at Warhammer World last week, and to me, from the outside, it looked like they got the same design as before, but internally, it might be different. So this week will tell. Right, what are we going to do with this fella? So this guy in the pictures, he's supposed to be aiming with his heavy bolt pistol. So I kind of like this job. It's just weird. Right. Look at his stance and where his weight would be. It just feels odd. I wonder if we do an arm swap, will that make it look better? So this is off the second guy. What would it be like if we were to put that pistol on this fella? And I guess then we've got to go vice versa and put this pistol on the other guy. That might work better, actually. What's the other guy supposed to look like? Oh, he's just sort of got his guns down. Let's do a little bit of post snippage. And his his combat blade arm as well. Where's that supposed to go? That's kind of like down by his side, isn't it? Oh yeah, like that. I wonder if we can make him look like he's slicing. Ooh, yeah. So putting the other arms on him. So he could look a bit like he's taking a swipe with his big sword of Imperial Justice. Problem is, again, right, when you look at this, and if you know anything about fighting stances, it's just his torso. I don't know. Who sculpted these? The legs and the torsos are just weird. Very, very odd. I don't know, sort of pose. Right, I'm going to cut some of this, set this away at the back, which will allow me to reposition the arm out to the side a bit. Going to get it looks like the Saran pattern Acquisitor isn't too far off. Another kit that they've previewed recently were the Adeptus Custodes Aquilon pattern Terminators. Forge World are certainly pumping the releases out. Now, of these, obviously, I consider the Sicaran tanks to be they're a bit sort of like reskins in effect. They're not new models. They've got new turrets, but they're not entirely new models. Whereas the Aquilon Terminators and the Saran pattern Acquisitor are brand new. That said, I'm never going to complain about getting more Sicaran variants because I think it's one of the best looking tanks in the game. Period. It's great. It'd be a great tank to see in a 40k plastic kit. That would be awesome. Right, I'm going to snip this post off as well. So basically what I'm doing here is undoing all of the careful design for easy fit kit. Because what I'm trying to do is make these look better than the stock posers. As an easy fit kit, they seem to work fine. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't. You could put that there. Or if we go back to the other pistol, or maybe we put that pistol right extended down by his side. And then we have the sword of much swiping here. It still looks a bit wooden. Well, I think a bit wooden's an understatement. We could have that raised, ready for a bit of swipage. Went a bit out of camera shot there. Not quite, I don't know, maybe that might work. Let's stick it on the base. That will help me get my ideas together a bit. Right, that fits fine. So, along with all the Forge World goodies that are on the horizon for the Heresy, GDubs is being busy with its stuff. Now, GDubs has been a little bit disingenuous, let me say, with how they're approaching their Primaris range releases, i.e. they're doing a bit of what I call sort of striptease release scheduling. And what they're basically doing is taking a set of models, hyping them, releasing them, advertising them. It's all exciting and that's great. They do that and then they bring another set of models on, rinse, repeat. Then once those are released, they do the same again, and so it has continued. What they've not done is, at no point they've actually said, right, here's the Primaris Space Marine range for you guys and girls to all get excited about. Kind of like give you a chance to really think about what you want to buy. And we've kind of like had another round of this, shall we say. They've now peekabooed us for the, right, what was it? Let me remember. We've got the aggressors, which are kind of like, well, essentially the aggressors seem to be Centurions done in a visually acceptable manner. I think that's a fair way to put it. And then we also have there's a chaplain, a chaplain model, who, well, you can take it or leave it. I think it looks terrible. It looks like a Dark Angel. For Dark Angel players, yeah, blow yourselves away, guys and girls. Blow yourself away. It's a good model. For me, a chaplain in a big long cloak like that, you can't see any of his armour, or not much of his armour. It doesn't work for me. Don't like it. So that was a bit disappointed. Although the disappointment is tempered by the fact that the Apothecarian model, which is the other one, which is another model that we've got a peek view of, looks really good. So cross on the chaplain, tick on the Apothecarian. Obviously cross, you can turn that to a tick, I guess, if you're a Dark Angels player. Well, these are all my own opinions, so blow yourself away on what you think. Is that gonna look any good? This is still sort of getting there with sticking. Sorry, I keep slipping out of camera angle. You can see what I've tried to do with this fella. He's got his hacky blade. It's going to need more glue. Should do the trick. Could have done with being slightly differently posed this arm for it really to work, but it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm quite pleased with the head pose I've got on it anyway. Now, does he want this pistol? Oh, it just looks ridiculous, doesn't it? This pistol arm. No. No, balance all wrong. Looks like a dancer, which is fine for dancing, but not for Space Marine warriors. So I guess by default it's going to get this arm as a semi-acceptable fitment. Right, yeah, so where did I cover? Aggressors, chaplain, and Apothecarian. In addition to that, they've also got another batch of Septimarines, this time with plasma weaponry, so a pair of pistols just as before, this time a plasma type gun. Those look pretty decent. Right, so they look really good. They've got a different helmet design, they look brilliant. Really liking those guys. Probably wants the pistol down a bit more, doesn't he? Yeah, about there. Oh, these are so weird, these models. Just completely bizarre pose-wise. Let's get this backpack on as well. And then we've got the Dreadnought as well. We've seen the repulsor tank, but it just makes me wonder, have they got something else that they're not showing us yet? And they're kind of teasing with another set of releases. They're going to put them on sale, everyone's going to go buy them, and then it's like, oh, another whole batch of stuff. Okay, fair enough, it's very effective sales tactics, but it gets a bit tiresome as a collector. Conversely, let's compare against Forge World. Forge World told us about all their upcoming models at the open day, so everyone knew what was coming, and you could start to think about planning your purchases and what you were really interested in having and where it would fit into your force. He's not actually too bad, all things considered. I mean, it's what I'd call making the best of a bad job miniature, that. He's done. So the last guy, this dude, is kind of like Spare Parts Charlie. So yeah, I feel sorry for Spare Parts Charlie because he's kind of got the bum end of the components list. But, there's a chance that something good might come of it. Let's test fit this backpack first to make sure there's no fit issues like we had with the Sergeant. That's fine. Must have been just a Sergeant that was a duffer. Right. Get this glued up. A whole load of stuff coming out for 40k, but we're not really getting a view of what the full range is. The thing that we've seen is we've seen a box set of these guys, the Reivers, which seems to be 10 men. We don't know if they're multi-pose or whatever. Got some grapnel guns, which, you know, look pretty groovy, although one of them got his bolt pistol. He's fired a grapnel out of it. It's got this great big grapnel in plastic, and it's a thin thing, and it's just, you look at it and, yeah, great for a diorama, a display model. For a game model, that's just going to get broken straight away. You'd have to replace it and strengthen it with wire for it to have any chance of survival. But, you know, it's a nice looking, it's options, I guess, isn't it? You never say no to options. What else have they got? So for me, these will be the last easy fit models I buy. I think this is a one-off experiment for me. You know, it was interesting to try these, but I'm not going to get any more, I don't think. Because if you follow the channel, you'll know I'm a keen modeler, and I like to, I'm not a massive converter, but I like to do subtle, but sometimes quite tricky conversions with reposing and the like, just to enhance models. But these guys don't really lend themselves to that at all. Let's put this here. I'll leave the, should I do the backpack? Yeah, let's do the backpack. I'm feeling different. Another thing is, will the aggressor models be easy fit models, or are they going to be kind of like classic style Citadel miniatures? I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. I think the easy fit models do any favours for, shall I say, more experienced or even average experienced modelers. I can see you've kind of like got a handy application for people who haven't played before, and you know, the quality of these models is really good. I mean, when I think back to things like the original Space Hulk game and Space Crusade and Hero Quest, the quality of the models by today's standards was absolutely laughable. These guys are really decent models, and details wise. You know, while I'm not very happy with the poses on these ones, the intercessors, which are their counterparts, are in very good poses, and the quality of the models, the overall quality of the models there, is impressive. Ooh, that looks like a half decent pose. Giving it some with his pistol, yeah. I guess they fill a niche in the market. No, not a niche I'm interested in. Apart from for oddity videos like this. I don't even know what I'll do with these guys when I build them. It depends if I like them after a couple of days of looking at them. This guy might be one I actually like the pose of. I mean, those two I've posed already. They're okay, but I'm not overly keen on them. This guy, I might actually like his pose. So that gives the squad some hope. That's actually decent, that now. How do I need to cut? Oops. I might need to do a little bit more cutting work to get this on. Oh yeah, I see, right. See if that does the trick. Yeah, so I'm going to kind of like have him. This time, this is the only model where the stance seems to fit with the arm positions, you know, so the model actually looks like they're balanced and in a stance that they could shoot from or fight from properly. The other two are not poses I would build if I was doing multi-part classic Marines or any Forge-World Heresy models. I just wouldn't put them in those poses because they just don't look natural. Whereas this, that's better. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that, yeah. That's alright, that one. Right, let's just have a look at this other arm. Is that about in the right position? I think, to be honest, that's about right first time on the sword arm. To imagine him being balanced in the correct poise. Yeah, it's not bad. If I put it back further, does that work? I think back any further looks a bit, it looks slightly off balance again, whereas, and not quite natural, whereas there, it just looks more natural, I think. So yeah, I'm going to go with that. It's not too bad. Let me just check the pistol alignment, that's okay. That's good to finish on a pose I actually am happy with. And he's a half decent looking model. Hooray, 1 out of 3, not bad. There you go. A little bit of, got a little bit of chats in there. This is the finished Reivers. I'll tell you what, guys, put you there, you in the middle, and then you there. So there you go, how to do some easy building modifications to make your Primaris Reivers look better than the stock poses they come in. I hope you found that useful video. Let me know what you think about the poses, the models, and any other views you've got on this subject in the comment section. I'll be very interested to hear, as always. Other than that, I would just like to say thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time, and goodbye.